Bonsai peeps, Mike Toy here, Bonsai Boise. Today I wanted to do a video on my Shantung Maple. I've got a bunch of older videos from 2014 and beyond. I think I got 8 or 9 of them out there on my personal account, which I'm gonna try to get them transferred over to this account. But I had no idea what I was doing then, so don't judge me too harshly. So long story short, on this Shantung Maple, by the way, it's called a Truncatum, an Acer Truncatum is what it's called. But long story short, about 10 years ago, I saw an ad on Craigslist for trees for sale. It was someplace out of Washington. I'm in Boise, Idaho, obviously. And I didn't know anything about trees at all, so I just picked a couple random ones. I got 2 Shantungs and a green ash and a couple of red maples and a few other things. Anyways, throughout time, you know, one of them would die, and a couple of them I planted at a house that I thought I was going to be at long term. This is the one that stood the test of time, and it's been through hell. It's been planted in the ground twice and dug up twice. But it survived, and you can see it's got a lot of age and character. I'm going to do some close-ups here in a second and give you a look at the roots and the trunk on it. It's got a long way to go, as you can tell. So if I can turn it here, this is going to end up being the front of the tree. And so my vision for it is to have the trunk tilted this way just a little bit more, so that the trunk is going this way, and then this part comes out, and then this part is going to be sort of its own independent little branch of the tree, while the rest of this is going to have kind of a full canopy style. I think that's, it's not written in stone, but that's what I have in my mind for it. So eventually I'm going to have to shorten this down so that it's a little bit more in this area, and then probably have to get rid of this branch eventually. Definitely have to do something about this because it's coming straight out at me, at the viewer. So, but just to point out a couple of pieces here. So I tried to air layer this past spring this branch, and didn't work. So that's why I've got this ugly stump here. But I'm going to have to grind that down over the winter. This piece here, if you look at some of the older videos, you'll see it died back and almost died completely. I dug it up in November-ish, I think it was. Put it in a pot, almost killed it. The following spring, most of it died back to about here. This was the main leader at the time, but then this got a few little buds, but you know, the rest is history. So anyways, I like the Shantung Maples because A, they're rare. You never see them, really. I mean, I've never seen, well, I take it back. I've seen one other person online that had a Shantung Maple bonsai. And now that I said that, you'll probably search and see like 100 others, but I've searched a lot to get information on them, and there's not many of them out there. But I like them because they're hardy. They can withstand drought very well. You can overwater them. They can tolerate that as well. They can take full sun. They're just really tough trees, and they are beautiful in the wintertime. Let me see if I can give you a look here. Excuse me, not the wintertime, the fall time. Let me give you a look at some of the leaves here. So this is what the leaves look like. So they've got that real kind of a glossy shine on them, unlike say a silver maple, which is a little bit more delicate and softer, you know, kind of withers in the sun, whereas these don't. These can withstand it very well. So I think that they make great trees, whether just for landscape and ornamental or for bonsai. So yeah, this is a look at it. I'll turn it around here and give you another look. I had a heck of a time just getting the lighting right, and it's such a big tree right now that it's hard to get it all in focus. Try and turn it around here. There's a look at the backside, and you know, I'm halfway also considering this to be the front. I haven't really completely decided yet, but at times I'll look at it and I'll think, you know, this might make a better front than my original thought, but we'll see. One thing I will say about this particular tree, and I think Shantungs in general, but this one even more so for whatever reason, is that they tend to grow outward rather than upward. So you can tell these branches here, they just shoot out, and they backbud really well, but getting them to grow upward is actually harder than getting them to ramify branches. A couple of articles that I found online talked about how they were having trouble ramifying the branches. I haven't had trouble at all. I mean, it's actually pretty easy on these. You can actually see where, let's see if I can get a good example here. Right here. And I just did the same thing that you do on any tree. You cut here and then 2 branches grow off, and then cut there and 2 more branches grow off. It's actually pretty easy on this one at least. So maybe other Shantungs aren't as easy, I don't know. This is the one that I'm working with though. So let me give you a look at the close-ups here. Okay. So just give you a little look. So you can see I've got some major work to do on the roots this winter. This guy just kind of went out of control. Some big fat roots. I initially was thinking that this would make good Nabari, but it got bigger over the course of the summer, so it's going to have to go. You can see some battle scars, we'll call it. I've got to do some grinding here. I'm going to have to cut right there and then grind it down. Same with this stump here. You can see some other nicks and bruises. Woo, knocked over my thing here. Yeah, this tree, despite how rough it looks right now, has remained my favorite tree over the years. Probably because I've had it the longest, and just because of the character that it has and kind of what it's been through. I can't stress enough how beautiful these are in the fall. I mean, these turn a purplish, reddish color, the leaves do. In fact, I think that's one of the common terms for the Shantung Maple is purple blow. You see some of the scars here. At one point, I think I hit it with the lawnmower when I was just breezing through mowing the grass when it was planted at my last house. I think that's what that's from, allegedly. But anyways, you can see it's got real good scissors here, and it just looks old and aged for only being 10 years old. I mean, in tree years, that's not much. So we'll go up here a little bit. So this is from, let me see if I can turn it around here. 1 second. This is from last year when I moved. I had to move unexpectedly. I was in a lease to own, and time came and prices had just gone up too much, and I didn't want to pay what it was worth. So had to make the tough decision to move, and unfortunately this was in the ground, so I had to dig it up. And when I did dig it up, I was so careful that I cut a lot of the foliage off just to not put too much stress on it. And anyways, it's hard to get a good look here, but that's the top of it. So you can see how the leaves have a reddish purple look to them. These are the new growth leaves. And so my approach when pruning and trimming this tree is pretty much the same as it would be on a silver maple, or any type of maple for that matter, which is just to cut, let 2 branches grow, let 2 or 3 nodes grow from there, cut, and 2 branches grow from there, and then 2 to 3 nodes, cut back, so same thing. Now, this is kind of common with maples, though. When you do that, it gets this little cluster of leaves and just massive growth at a spot, so something to be aware of. So one thing I will say that I read recently from Walter Paul in Germany. If you're into bonsai at all, look into Walter Paul. He's different than some of the guys on YouTube like Nigel Saunders and the guy from Bonsai. Those guys in particular are very good at explaining what they're doing and why they're doing it. Even though it's very advanced stuff that they're doing, they make it sound very easy, for beginners. Walter Paul is very advanced. So if you're looking for advanced techniques or advanced information on what to do and how to do it, look him up. He's got a method called hedge pruning, and it is exactly like it sounds. So hedge pruning is essentially where he goes in and just gives a rough idea of the shape he wants for the tree, and he just prunes it just like a hedge. He doesn't touch the inside at all, just prunes it like a hedge, and does it ruthlessly, according to his words. So he ruthlessly prunes it like a hedge, and he does that twice a year. Once in, I believe he said, it was early spring. Don't quote me on that. I have to read the timing again, but timing was critical. Once was in the spring, and then once again in, I think, about midsummer, right before the second growth spurt in the summer. And he said what happened is, long story short on that, he bought a bunch of trees years ago, selected the ones he wanted to really work on, and the rest just went in the for sale pile. The for sale pile he didn't put as much time and effort into, so he just pruned it like a hedge, just to keep them in the rough shape. The ones that he loved, he went through and did kind of what I'm doing here, and did some branch selection and really kind of babied it. And that's what a lot of us do, I think. A lot of us are taught to do that. But what he said is that the trees that he hedge pruned ended up being much better in the long run, and so much so that he adopted that as his main style now for all his trees. And he goes into some of the reasoning why, but the main reasoning why is that we want growth. We want big, thick trunks and lots of ramification of branches in the shape that we want it. And the way that we get that is to just let them grow. The more leaves and foliage there is, the more energy gets shot down to the roots, shoots energy back up the leaves, so forth and so on, and it grows the trunk. So when we do all this selective pruning, we're getting rid of the foliage that sends the energy down. So it weakens the tree too. And then it just takes longer to do it that way. So I'd encourage you to read his article. Maybe I'll post a link to his article on this video, but I haven't ever done that on any of my trees. I'm gonna start, at least on a few of them, and just see how it goes. The logic is there. It's just kind of goes against, everything that I had been doing before, which doesn't make it wrong. It just makes it different. So it's hard to change sometimes, but I'm gonna try. Anyway, that's my Shantung Maple. I hope you liked it, or if you have anything to add, if you know anything about Shantung Maples, please feel free to drop me a line or leave a comment in there. I love learning about these, so anything that you know, feel free to add. If you have questions about it, feel free to ask too. I love sharing what knowledge I have. If you like the video, please click like and subscribe. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do, and you can see updates on this tree and all my other trees, and share your thoughts as well. So thanks for tuning in, everybody. Have a good day.